Hello everyone, welcome back to Mode 7 Gaming, a channel all about video games and video gamey things. My name is Jeff. This is my inaugural video, my first non-stream video, and I thought it would be a good idea for us to just chat about my favorite games. So this is going to be like my top 10 favorite games of all time. Now, that being said, these aren't ranked. And the reason why they're not ranked is there's two things that I focus on this channel. One's cozy games, two, retro games. It is very hard to compare a retro game for, the N64 or the NES versus a game that came out a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Games have just progressed so much since then. So it's not really fair, in my opinion, to, compare those games together. But I wanted to kind of throw this out there so that you, the viewer, could get to know kind of my game tastes and what I enjoy. And then you'll kind of know better what I'm into. And then we can kind of explore this hobby together as we move forward. So I have some honorable mentions. And then again, I'll jump into my top 10. Again, not ranked in any order, just basically, I guess, 10 of my favorite games. So I guess we can start with, I think, one of the earliest cozy games I ever played, and that is Harvest Moon Back to Nature. And this would have been for the PlayStation 1. I had skipped over Harvest Moon for the SNES, which is a bit shocking to me. But I actually started the Harvest Moon series with Back to Nature for the PS1. And it's still to this day, I think, one of the best cozy games. And a lot of these games like defined the genre. Like cozy game wasn't a term I even knew about until recently, and I feel like it's recent nomenclature. But there was a ton of cozy-esque games that you could play back in the day, as far back as Harvest Moon for the SNES, which I believe drew a lot of inspiration to recently Stardew Valley. But that being said, Harvest Moon Back to Nature is exactly what you would think it is. It's a farming sim. You have a pet dog. The one cool thing about this game that I love is that you can actually teach your dog tricks, and he or she listens to you better. And there's actually a whole event around you having trained your dog well enough to perform in this event. And if you've trained your dog poorly, your dog is going to do badly in this event. It's really, really great. Highly recommend if you get a chance to go back and play it. I don't know how it's aged, but one I played so much of as a kid and really proved to me how good cozy games can be. Next up, we have Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 is a team first-person kind of shooter game where I think it was like one of the first. I played this on PC with a buddy of mine. I'd always go to his place and play Team Fortress 2. You could pick classes, so there's like a spy, there was a heavy gunner, there's a shooter, etc. And ultimately what you're trying to do is infiltrate the other player's base, grab their flag, get it back to yours. There's a bunch of different game modes you can play. You can still play this on Steam, but Team Fortress was a game that propelled me into first-person kind of competitive gaming. I have a specific period of my life where I was big into Call of Duty and, Fortnite and Battlefield and that sort of thing. I've moved past that as I've aged, but Team Fortress was really the reason why I kind of ventured into that realm of gaming, with Medal of Honor and that sort of thing early on. But Team Fortress 2, I still think is great. I would still go back and play it now, and highly recommend you do as well. Next up on the list, we have StarCraft. StarCraft is, I think, pretty well known at this point. It's, that and Warcraft are probably the 1-2 RTS games in the world. I would say our StarCraft is probably the most popular, and I was no exception. I fell into StarCraft maybe later than most. I discovered it in residence at university, and my friends and I would all hook up our laptops and computers and play LAN events on StarCraft. And I love two things about it. I love RTS games. It's one of my favorite genres. And I love the theming around StarCraft and the different factions you can be and the different units that they can get, the different buildings they can build, and they all work somewhat differently, which is so good. I have played StarCraft 2. I still prefer the original, but StarCraft 2 is great as well. I'll take anything in that world. But StarCraft is probably one of my most played games, just based off of the fact that we played it so much at university. But yeah, it's still one that I go back to infrequently, and still have a great time with it when I do. All right, next up on the honorable mentions, there's two more honorable mentions, then we'll get to the actual list. The first one, the first of the last two, surprised me a little bit that it didn't make it into the top 10, but I'm going to explain why. And that's Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is objectively one of my most played games. I've played it on multiple gaming systems. I'm currently playing through the remake version of Final Fantasy VII. I have so many fond memories of that game. I've explored every inch of that game. I've done all of the side quests with the weapons and finding the shrunken ship bottle thing in order to be able to breathe underwater to beat Emerald Weapon. I've explored everything in that game. The reason why it didn't make my top 10 is because there's actually one other Final Fantasy game that I prefer just a little bit more that I wanted to include because I don't think it gets talked about as much as it should. And so I wanted to give it a little bit more limelight. But that being said, Final Fantasy VII, again, of the Final Fantasy genre, or yeah, I guess that works. Of the Final Fantasy kind of series of games, 7 is obviously up there. And if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. RPGs, JRPGs, again, are likely my favorite type of genre of game. So it's no surprise that Final Fantasy VII is getting mentioned here. But all right, so interestingly, this next game is a relatively new release, and that's why I didn't put it on the top 10 because it felt too new. And not that new games can't be on this list, but it just didn't feel right to have it on the list already. But I think it probably will be eventually. And that is Sea of Stars. Yeah. Talking about our RPG or JRPGs. Sea of Stars is, I think, as close to a masterpiece of an RPG as you can get. The story is wonderful. The world is vibrant. The systems and controls are straightforward and not convoluted in any weird way, but it gives you enough meat on the bones to not be boring. And it's just beautiful. I cannot say enough good things about this game, and I'm so happy that I stumbled upon it one day and just decided to pick it up and play it because I've recommended it to some friends since, and they've both loved it. So Sea of Stars, if you like RPGs and you've not checked out Sea of Stars yet, highly recommend you do so. All right, so let's get into the actual top 10 or the 10, whatever you want to define it as. And I'm actually going to start with a series of games because I can't really pinpoint which one I like the most, and I haven't played all of them. Mainly haven't played the earlier versions of this series of games, and that's Civilization, or Sid Meier's Civilization. Civilization is a Civ game. You are building out civilizations through the eras to develop technologies to eventually conquer your foes via military, via science victory, via culture victory in the later games. I think there's a few other win conditions. Civilization has been around for a very long time. I have the original Civilization game for SNES, and the reason why I haven't picked a specific one is because I started at 5. So my first ever Civ experience was Civilization 5. I haven't played any of the prior iterations of that game, but I want to. Now, that being said, do any of those become my favorite in the series? Unlikely. I would say Civ 6 is probably my favorite of the series of Civilization games. What I like most about these games is just like whenever I play it, I only play solo, and I'll play the longest, most robust, expansive world that you can. So I'll play as essentially in Civilization, you can kind of set how long your game session is. So it could be short, medium, long, super extensive. I always set it. Oh, and also how big your world is. So I always play this game with the biggest world I can and for as long as I can make a gaming session. And it's definitely, if you've ever heard that phrase, like just one more turn, that kind of, I believe, started with Civilization, because it's definitely that game where it's like, I'll just do one more turn, and then it's 4 hours later, and your whole evening has gone away. I love this game so much. I love exploring the different technology trees that you can get with each civilization, and how each one interacts differently with the environment around them, and which tools they can get and which resources they have available to them, and then how they interact with all the other players on the map. It's just so good. If you like Civilization games, you have to play Civilization, and you probably already have. I love it so much. It definitely plays similarly to a board game. So if you're into board games, Civilization might be an interesting place for you to maybe jump into video games and give that a try. But yes, number 10 on the list, Civilization, and I'll just give a quick nod to Civilization 6. Next up on the list is my only racing game. So this is actually an interesting little caveat about myself, that even like I don't talk to a ton about with my gaming friends or anything, but I adore racing games. I have ever since I was a kid, when I discovered Gran Turismo 1 for the PS1. Now, Gran Turismo 2 is my choice for my favorite racing game, just because it iterated on Gran Turismo 1 enough to make it just a little bit better. Gran Turismo 3, I think, is probably the most like universally like loved, but I really love 2 just because of how much I played it. I spent hours playing this game and upgrading my cars and figuring out all the tracks. I did all of the, test trials and tried to get the best runs. Like, I became obsessed with racing very young, and I still love racing games. I play F1, I still play the recent Gran Turismos, but Gran Turismo 2 has that nostalgia, has that place in my brain of being the first game that really pulled me into it. Gran Turismo 1 pulled me into the world. Gran Turismo 2 really solidified that for me. I love racing games. That'll never change. Highly recommend Gran Turismo 2. Again, understanding that it was put out in the 90s, so or maybe early 2000s. All right, next up on the list is another somewhat recent game, and that is Stardew Valley. And this game is by far my most played game. It is not close. I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of Stardew Valley across multiple platforms. I've played it on PC, I've played it on Switch, I've played it on PlayStation. I've run through that game. I've never done a perfection run, but I've run through that game so many times. It never misses a beat. It is objectively one of the best video games ever created. And it's really cool when you go back and play the old Harvest Moon for SNES to see the similarities and the inspiration that was pulled into Stardew Valley. It's so wonderful. The world is so great. The controls are phenomenal. The characters are great to know. The storyline can pivot in ways that you get to decide. And he keeps adding awesome content to it. I think he's done now, but he just kept giving us more and more Stardew Valley, and I can't get enough of it. It's magical, it's wonderful, and it's a perfect creation of a game. Next up is our first of maybe multiple Zelda games, and that is Ocarina of Time for the N64. This was the first game that I think showed me what the next generation, I mean, back then, the next generation of world building could be. I fell so deep into Legend of Zelda. I remember I didn't have an N64 growing up, so I had to I borrowed a friend of mine's to play this game, and he had the game guide, and it was like this thick. And I remember getting to the water temple in this game, and trying to figure out the puzzles of the each temple, and the water temple just being so difficult to figure out, and using that game guide and exploring all the little secrets, finding all the little like holes and tunnels and things that you could find in the heart pieces. Zelda as a series of games is my favorite, I think. And Ocarina of Time is in the top 3 of those Zelda games for me. It's wonderful. It was absolutely gorgeous. I would love absolutely love if they would remake this game into like recent graphics someday. It would be amazing. But so many good things, and I think it's pretty well loved, which I think most of the rest of these are. Most people would probably have them on this kind of list. Next up is another RPG. So, you know, kind of showing my hand here in terms of genres of games I like. That's Chrono Trigger. I've talked about Chrono Trigger on another channel that I was doing for a bit. Chrono Trigger is another masterpiece of gaming. The story is beautiful. It's heartwarming. It's sad. It's beautiful. It's challenging. And there's such a rich, robust game there. Before it was really, I mean, the SNES was kind of getting into the realm of offering rich, robust games, and Chrono Trigger is definitely up there. The uniqueness of being able to kind of leap between time zones, not time zones, eras. I don't want to spoil anything, but the fact in the game is you're kind of going through all of these eras, and certain things in certain eras can impact future events or past events. It's an absolute masterpiece, and I recommend playing it if you haven't. It is on Steam. Next up is Persona 5 Royale. Here's a fun fact. I love games just like Stardew Valley that allow character development, and character development in association with like a group of people around you, and so developing relationships and how that interacts, and having side quests with each character and getting to know them better, and improving their skill set so that you're battling together better and that sort of thing. And Persona 5 Royale nails that. It's definitely like the most out there, I think, in terms of all the other games that are on this list, just from like, it's kind of anime style. But I love Persona 5 Royale. And it was a game I kind of just stumbled into. I think someone recommended it to me, and I was like, I'm probably not going to like this, but I'll give it a shot. And boy, was I wrong. I've played through Persona 5 Royale twice now, from start to finish. And I think it's time to possibly replay it again, because it's been a few years or a couple years. But Persona 5 Royale has really rich characters. It has a very, very robust interactivity of those characters, and getting to know each other and developing those storylines. And there's missable things in this game if you don't take the right path and that sort of thing. So Persona 5 Royale, absolutely wonderful. I have not, however, played any of the other Personas. I should probably change that. All right, next up is the Final Fantasy game that I was referencing earlier, that I don't think gets enough love. I could be wrong, but I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, and it should get way more love because I think it's objectively one of the best Final Fantasy games, and that is Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics is a tactics game with a Final Fantasy skin. Tactics games are kind of like you're manipulating a battlefield, and you have to position your units in certain areas, and you can break them up and flank other characters and that sort of thing. So there's tactics attached to your attacking, I guess is the best way I could put it. And Final Fantasy Tactics nails this and brings it to again, all of these Final Fantasy games have really rich, robust worlds, and Final Fantasy Tactics is no exception to that, but it brings the tactical nature of tactics games to Final Fantasy, which is phenomenal. And I don't hear enough people talking about it, and people should be, because it's wonderful. All right, next up is the only NES game on this list, which is probably a bit criminal for me, given the NES, SNES are probably my two favorite consoles, but I think this list would be incomplete without it, and that is Super Mario Bros. 3. This was my first ever video game. I didn't have Atari. I got an NES. So quickly about me, we used to get consoles after everyone else got the newest console, because we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So my parents bought us an NES, I think, when people were getting like N64s and stuff. But Super Mario 3 was the first game we had. And my God, we played the heck out of it. And then we ended up getting Super Mario 2, which is still one of my favorites. But Super Mario 3 is on this list because A, it's just a great game. It fundamentally is one of the best platformers. And B, there is just so much nostalgia attached to this game that it would be, I could not have this list and not put it on there. I just have so many. It's a whole reason why I'm sitting here. Discovering Super Mario 3 brought me into video games. It made me obsessed with video games. It made me be the person I am now, which seems kind of ridiculous, but yeah, I just love it so much. And I recently streamed it on an old channel. I'll probably stream it again because I think it deserves the love. All right, we're on to our last two, and kind of two different ends of the spectrum on this one. Number 2 on the list is Witcher 3. I've played so much Witcher 3. Another game I've played over on multiple systems, PlayStation, Steam, and I've played through all of the expansion content. I think I've discovered every possible thing you can discover in this game. I would do every single side quest. I love Witcher 3. I want to go back and actually play the other Witcher games. I have not. I don't know how they compare at all, but it doesn't matter. I just want to explore the world. I mean, Witcher 3 made me get the books. I mean, obviously there's a TV show. It's a massive, massive IP. But and I think that just speaks to how good the games are. They're incredible. I loved the whole concept of like being this mercenary bad guy kind of who, fringe of society who needs to go and fight all of these beasts. And, there's interpoliticking and like Gwent being in the game, like this card system game that's within Witcher 3 is incredible. And I've played so much Gwent when that became its own game later on. I have nothing but good things to say about Witcher 3 and very fond memories, and one I will return to every so often because it's so good. All right, number 1 on this list is objectively my favorite game of all time, and it would never change regardless of how I approach this list. It's always probably going to be number 1, and that is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Reason why this will always be the number 1 game on my list is because it's a phenomenal game. It's absolutely beautiful. It's deep. It's rich. The music is incredible. The graphics are incredible for the system, and I love it so much. The other reason is, again, nostalgia. So I used to go to a buddy of mine who had this game, and I had no idea what it was. And he had a Super Nintendo. I didn't. He had a bunch of games, and I saw this cartridge with gold on the label and like a sword and shield, and I'm like, man, this looks awesome. This looks so good. Pop it in. Had no idea what I was doing. Died immediately. It's like, wow, this is ridiculous. This game sucks. Kept going. And I just kept going and kept discovering. And because back then there was no, what do I do at this time? You just had to figure things out. And I've explored so much of that game. And it makes me smile every time I think about it. Again, another game that I play probably yearly. And another one that I've played just so much of. I love, like, there was stuff I discovered later in life in that game that you could do. Like, I didn't know you could throw your boomerang in the fairy fountain and upgrade it to like the red boomerang. I didn't know that until later in life. And I'm like, man, I played this game back in like the 90s, and I'm still discovering stuff I didn't know existed in it. Like, that's pretty special. And it's a special game to me. Again, I'll probably stream it at some point again in the future, but Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is masterpiece in gaming. All right, that's it. That's the list. I mean, it's really hard to kind of like throw these lists together because there's so many games and I've played so many great ones, and I've not played a lot of great games. So again, if you're watching this and you're like, how did you not have this on the list? This on the list? I probably haven't played it, or it just isn't for me, and that's okay. I mean, again, instead of maybe commenting and me like, how could this game not be on your list? Maybe tell me why it's your favorite game, and I'd be happy to hear that, because it might not be mine, but I'm super glad it's yours. I just love games. I love video games so much. always looking to discover stuff. If there's something that's not on this list, I mean, there's many that you think I might enjoy, feel free to throw it down in the comments. I might have played it. I'll let you know if I have or not, but I'm always looking for recommendations. So anyway, I just want to say thank you for being here first and foremost, because I'm brand new to this and just trying to spread my love for gaming. So thank you for taking 20 so minutes to listen to me ramble for a bit. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, spread the love, tell your friends, and hopefully come to some streams and chat with my little crazy community that's already started to develop. Yeah, thank you again, and we will see you next time. Later days. Fun fact, Jamie. I was just filming for about 15 minutes and did not hit record on the camera. But it's okay, because the game behind me screwed up. And I was fumbling. I burped. I was fumbling anyway. So, anyway. Good thing I caught it, I guess. All right, here we go.